Greetings, one and all. Today I want to discuss Oracle's VirtualBox and the other guy. Specifically, the other guy is Vert Manager. If one listens to the many talking heads, myself included, VirtualBox tends to get a bad rep, mainly for its speed. How fast it loads, how fast it executes, things like that. Now, I'm not saying this particular parameter is not a criticism of VirtualBox. What I'm saying is basically that should not be the only parameter that you're judging your hypervisor by. There are other things, as I recently found out, that it can be a bit more important than speed as far as hypervisors go. So that's what I'm planning on talking about in this video. Specifically in this case, it was Wi-Fi that was the issue, but we'll get to that. So first thing I want to say is this is not really a rant. It's more of a rumination sort of thing, Mussings kind of, if you will. What happened was I was working on a video for Mini DLNA. This was a follow-up to the video I did over a year ago. It was received fairly well, and I had several comments and requests for additional information. So yeah, I was working on the video. Since I'm not in the Philippines, I didn't have access to my wired, that is Ethernet connected home lab. I'm using my laptop here. In my current circumstances, I'm staying with relatives or friends, so I don't necessarily actually have a wired Ethernet connection available. So that's where the Wi-Fi part comes in. I'm sort of running a home lab on my laptop using both VirtualBox and Vert Manager. So yeah. And this is where I came across this issue, which I want to talk about today. And I initially used Vert Manager, but I had some issues connecting up the Wi-Fi. So yeah, not that it can't be done, it just wasn't the easiest thing in the world to achieve. So in comparing VirtualBox and Vert Manager, I'm using basically the same thing, a base Debian install with no GUI. The only additional stuff is like Mini DLNA added. And the issue is that I need, in order to test certain functions of Mini DLNA, I need to be able to see the Mini DLNA server on the local network, whereas when I'm using either VirtualBox or Vert Manager in their default configuration, I'm using a sort of a NAT configuration. This is sort of like going through a virtual router, and unless you punch holes in it, you're not going to be able to see your guest on the local network. What I really need to be using is a bridge configuration, which is basically like a switch hooked up to your, a virtual switch hooked up to your network card, where your network card is just one port plugged into it, and then your guest edition is seen out on the local network, and you can do the things you need to do with it. Now, as I said, the biggest complaint is usually speed, because VirtualBox is a Type 2 hypervisor, and Vert Manager is a Type 1 hypervisor. Yeah, I know that's a little, there's some nuance there, but I don't want to go into that. But basically, in Vert Manager, your hardware and your software are closer together than they are in VirtualBox, which is where the speed difference comes in. But again, in this case, the speed difference was not what I would call a critical factor. It was the Wi-Fi connection. So let me explain. All right, let's go ahead and jump over to the desktop and see what's what. First thing we're going to do is we're going to get the Vert Manager running. You can see our virtual machine here. Open it up. Go ahead and look at how it's set up. Go ahead and start it. Okay. Let's log in. Remember, this is a virtual machine running under Vert Manager. Let's go ahead and check our IP address. Okay. And let's look at our IP address on our main machine here, which, okay, we're in a different segment of the network, which means this is probably not going. But we'll give it a try anyways. Fire up VLC, and we'll go down here and no, or any DLNA is not visible as a universal plug-and-play device on the local network. So yeah, not what we wanted here. All right, let's go ahead and power off and go look at our interface. And our network card. And let's try setting up a bridge. We need a name. There's a virtual BR0. Yeah, I know some people are going to shake their heads at that and say, yeah, that's not going to work. But again, I'm going through the steps like a fairly average user would go through. And we'll fire things back up again and see what happens. Check our IP address. Yeah, that doesn't look promising. Go ahead and fire up VLC, and nope, still not there. We did pick up another universal plug and play, but it's not my server, so So let's go ahead and power down again. All right, so let's say BR0, that doesn't exist. We're going to have to create a new bridge, so we're going to have to go to our network settings. Okay, so our only bridge is a virtual BR0. Let's go ahead and create a new bridge device. Call it BR0. And we want it to hook up to our Wi-Fi. So let's go ahead and add this. It's WAP security. We're going to need a password here. Okay, looking good. Long password. Supposed to be a long password. Oh, we lost our name. Okay, yeah, we needed SSID. Okay. Check a few things here and save. Again, BR0. Save. All right, let's look at our network. Now, look at that. Our networks, we're trying to connect, but we're not really being very successful, are we? And this is a problem I have with the bridge and a Wi-Fi. There's some additional stuff that needs to happen to be able to connect. And right now it's just not happening. I mean, this is possible. There's a little more finagling that needs to go on. So get rid of our bridge and let's go back the way we were before. And we're connected. Okay, so much for the Vert manager and trying to set up a bridge with Wi-Fi. Like I say, it can be done. It's a little more complicated, but let's jump over to VirtualBox since that's also installed. And you can see we've got the same type of virtual machine here, Debian with mini DLNA installed. So look at our network. It's NAT. Need a baseline, so we will just check this out as a NAT network and see what's going on. Power into VirtualBox. Go ahead and do the login here. And we've got a different IP address, but it's still not the one our computer is hooked up to. So this is the internal to VirtualBox. So let's see if we can ping. Yeah, see, we can get out. Can anybody get in? That's the question. So we'll start VLC again. And still don't see our mini DLNC server. So let's go ahead and power this off and make some changes. So back to settings, network. Let's go to bridge. Wow, look at that. It picked up on our Wi-Fi card right away. This looks promising. Okay. Go ahead and fire this up. Wait for it to boot up. Again, VirtualBox is a bit slower. Log in. Now we actually have an IP address on our local segment. Even more promising. Double check. Yeah, it's on the local segment. So yeah. Okay. Now for the smoke test. Fire up VLC and whoa, look at that. Shows right up. Let's see if our test data is available. Okay, let's go to an icon type view. Probably a little better for this. There's our Debian logo and our mini DLNA server, albums. There's all the albums I have in my sample collection that I'm using for testing. Cool. Let's try videos. I've only got a couple videos here for just to see if it works, and there they are. Wow. This is looking very promising here. And we got a few pictures we threw up here just to, yeah, they work too. So yeah, I guess VirtualBox is basically working out of the box. All you had to do was switch it to a bridge network. It recognized the Wi-Fi card. It connected. At this point, I'd say using a Wi-Fi and a bridge network, VirtualBox definitely, even though it's slower, has a leg up on Vert Manager. Far more complex to set up for this type of operation. All right, let's go ahead and shut everything down. And yes, VirtualBox works, so that's what I'm going to be using for this particular video. All right, let's go ahead and wrap things up here. I know most of you got a lot better things to do than sit here and listen to me jabber on, so let me make it simple. When choosing a virtual machine manager, a hypervisor, don't let the speed be your only guideline. Look at some of the other features, as in my example. And this, I know it might be a niche example with the Wi-Fi and the bridge. Again, might not be everybody's thing, but for me, it made VirtualBox a much better candidate to use rather than Vert Manager. And as I say, I've watched a lot of videos comparing VirtualBox to Vert Manager, and they tend to favor Vert Manager, and the main reason tends to be speed, and I'm just saying that's not always the case. So you need to check out what's best for your application. All right, so as always, subscribe, like, comment, and not sure when the next video will be coming out or the one on the mini DLNA, but I'm working on them, so hopefully soon. We'll see. Anyway, that's it for now.